Welcome to Heavy Lifts, episode number 5. For those who see opportunity and embrace that risk to build it. Back here with my good friend AJ Nash. How you doing, AJ?
Well, doing well. Thanks for asking.
We don't have to bring up bleeding or anything like that, right?
Nope, not this week.
Yeah.
Don't have any more room.
Nope, we sure don't. I am super excited because this week we get to welcome our friend TJ Sullivan to the podcast. And I've got a whole dossier on TJ, but AJ, you know TJ better than I do.
So there's some stories I can't tell.
Oh boy.
There's some stories I can't tell. But yes, I know TJ through Kaiser Rotary. This thing called Sergeant Arms, where he holds people accountable with inappropriate humor in a business setting. That is one of my favorite. That's where I really got to know TJ, his delivery, his style, and then he took that to the Salem City Council for a number of years. And I don't know if they were quite ready for a Sergeant of Arms at Salem City Council.
No, but there is room for humor in meetings, and sometimes just to break the monotony. When you're talking about sewer laterals at 1 a.m, somebody's got to make a joke.
Yes, the poop jokes are always good.
They always are. In the real estate game it is. And I'm excited to have you on because when I was talking with AJ about guests and who to bring on for those who care about downtown Salem, who care about...
should have been number one.
Yeah, I would say, people who care, people who are active. It was like you were like...
You're batting cleanup, man. You're batting cleanup.
That's true.
Power hitter, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to start... I don't want to go too far back, but
go where you want to go.
I want to start with Salem. Like, are you from Salem? Are you... how did you get into this community?
So, yes, born into Salem, 1973. Grew up on the east side of Salem, 62nd Court.
Okay.
In fact, Rich Kiansky was my neighbor for the first 5 years of our lives together.
Okay, that's a big name in Salem.
Yeah, it's a fun to watch his progression.
Who was better at jumping the bike over the wood plank?
It's Kiansky by far.
Okay.
I was not a risk taker until I got to be at least 7.
Okay.
And things started to turn for me.
So your first fist fight?
First fist fight, and I was just telling the stories to people. So my dad worked from home. There's a knock one day at our door, and he goes to answer it, and I think the statute of limitations is up, but there was 2 FBI agents and an FAA person at our front door, and they said, we have been getting reports of somebody from around this area launching rockets at airplanes as they flew
bottle
overhead.
rockets or rockets?
Like model rockets.
Okay.
Not bottle rockets, model rocket, yeah.
Model rockets.
My dad was like, gosh, that doesn't sound like anybody. Wait a second. My son does sometimes build rockets. And so he goes, come on, I think he's out back. Let's go talk to him. I am literally, when they walk into our backyard, I'm standing there with an altimeter telling me how high the plane that's approaching is with my hand on the launch button and a 3-foot high rocket right in front of me. And they walk out there, and I'm just like...
How old?
I was probably 7 or 8 years old at the time. I built this rocket using a poster tube and just combined multiple engines into one. And and I would launch them at planes. And of course, they're telling me how much trouble I am in, and I have to cease and desist. And my only question I wanted to know was, can you tell me how close I came?
So FBI, FAA, all showed up at your doorstep.
Yeah. Two FBI agents and 1 FAA agent.
Yeah,
that's when they normally offer you a job, though. When they see that at that age.
There was no sense of humor. Nobody was intrigued. We did have fist bumps back in the 70s. I felt like my dad would have given me a fist bump. This would have been like maybe 1980.
Yep.
I felt like my dad would have given me a fist bump had it been a thing.
So you were shooting for the sky from an early age, and getting in trouble for it, probably rightfully so.
Right.
Did this kind of activity, like creating things, almost like inventing things, like continue to progress?
There is this sense in me where I do, like, you see something, you're like, that's just not right. That's not being used to its highest and best purpose. Whether it's a human being or whether it's a piece of property, you can look at something and go, that's not reaching its potential. So the funny thing is, my parents will tell you that for the longest time when we would drive through Salem, there used to be this triangle building on the Boise Cascade property. And it was just a big concrete bunker overlooking the Willamette River and Riverfront Park. And I would constantly say that building should not be there. There should be something much better there. And that's where we built Parkfront.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I did get to come back and.
Heck yeah, you did, and that is a beautiful building.
Well,
by the
thank
way.
you.
Yeah, beautiful. I love the digital signage there too. We're working on some digital signage as well at the Forge, so we appreciate those things.
Well, I was like, yeah, she got 13,000 cars a day that go right by there.
Yeah,
You'd be a
amazing.
dummy not to try and communicate with them.
And being in Little League and being able to have your home run up on that,
Yeah.
that is one of my favorite community happenings. I know there was some noise around it, but like,
Well, when you were on, I was on city council for 8 years, and I pissed a lot of people off. But they were the right people to piss off. And so, yeah, when we put the digital sign up there, people were like, oh,
Yeah.
he's doing it again.
yep,
And then I was coaching Little League at the time, and I told the boys on the team, I'm like, okay, listen, if any of you knuckleheads actually run into a pitch the wrong way and hit it over the fence, I'm going to put your face on a billboard. And they were like, no, you're not. I'm like, okay. First kid that did it was the quietest, kindest kid on the team who was just terrified at the thought that I would actually put his face in. So I took a picture of him, and it went up on the billboard.
Really?
Yeah, it was a home run hero.
yes.
That's
And
great.
So then all of a sudden, like, all the kids were like just swinging for the fence. We were striking out every time up. I'm like, okay, we got to change this.
So fast forward, where did you end up going to college? Insurance, I know you get
Yeah.
that's what you got into, but how'd you get, where'd you go from
Okay.
college?
Portland State, and I started out like, oh, I'm going to get my degree in political science. So I got my degree in political science, and then they're like, nobody's hiring political scientists. Dang it. So I went back and got my degree in economics. Nobody's hiring economists. Dang it. So then I went back, and they're like, well, you need to get your degree in urban and regional planning. So I did. I got my master's in urban and regional planning.
After
And-
getting 2 bachelor's degrees?
After getting 2
Okay.
bachelor's degrees. And then I went to, I was working for a place called Livable, Oregon. First job was revitalizing McMinnville's downtown. And then I went to work for in the legislature. I was working for a Republican rep out of Anita, Oregon. And there was a light rail bill. And he said, hey, will you take a look at this? And it was funding light rail in Portland with a weight mile tax. And I was like, well, okay, that doesn't make any sense. Because if you're a watermelon farmer in Hermiston, you are going to get taxed unbelievably to fund light rail in Portland. There's no nexus.
Sure.
So I wrote a position paper and said, this is stupid.
Yep.
You can't fund this. And this light rail plan was ridiculous. It was crossing the Willamette so many times. Like, it's just like we're funding cool, and that's not a good use of taxpayer dollars. So the Republicans cut it up. They used it in their floor speeches, defeated the bill. Well, my boss at Livable, Oregon, and the guy who was the head of TriMet were best friends. Guess who lost their job? Like 6 months after the session.
Ugh.
So I lose my job. I've got school loans from all the education that I've got.
You stood up for something you believed in,
Yeah.
but it eventually cost you your job.
Cost me my job. I
Okay.
went around. I applied for 108 planner positions around the state of Oregon, including the city of Salem.
Imagine the difference that we would have had if we would have got TJ Sullivan as a planner.
Imagine my bank account.
Yeah.
But I applied for 108 jobs. I got turned down for 108 jobs.
Wait, this is a literal number?
Literal number, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I
and
was-
this was not back in the day where you could go to Indeed.com and just go, boop, 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 boop.
Nope. I was literally filling out applications. I remember going down to Klamath, otherwise known as Klamath Falls.
Alabama.
I was down at Klamath, filling out this application, and I'm trying to remember. It was like, give us your last 5 addresses. Okay, well, I couldn't remember. I had lived in a couple different places in Portland,
Yep.
and I'm sitting there. I'd just driven like 6 hours to get down to Klamath, and I'm like, I don't think they even have a planning department here.
Yeah.
It's Klamath Falls. Like, what are you planning for in Klamath Falls?
Yep.
Like, it's just the end of time, really. And so I remember just getting up and walking out of there and going, you know what? I don't need a job this badly. And but yeah, then a friend of mine said, hey, insurance is hiring. All you got to have is a degree. This company up in Lake Oswego. So I got hired as an underwriter.
Okay.
Now, underwriters sit in cubicles and they have no personality. Did not fit me at all.
I
So
can imagine.
I did that job for as long as I could. I'm actually impressed with how long I actually managed to do that job for.
How long were you there?
2 years.
Okay. And underwriting is a lot of numbers, right? A lot of pushing paper.
It's a lot of rules and a lot of things that just don't make any sense in, like, if you want to build and grow something, a business. And so I broke all the rules, and I was super successful as an underwriter, grew my territory, grew my agencies, and they hated me for it because I didn't do anything the right way. Somebody in Old Man Huggins saw some potential in me as an agent and said, hey, I'd like you to come to work for me as an agent. Okay. What he didn't tell me was that when you start out making commission, that first couple of months, your paycheck is zero.
Yeah, no salary. Huh?
No salary.
Just straight commission.
No, yeah, which is awesome when you're a newlywed too.
Yeah, I'm sure your wife loved that.
Yeah, like, hey, here's my paycheck. It's zero. Have you ever seen a paycheck that's zero?
You know what? No taxes, though.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
And was your wife working at the time to support you, or?
I think I do believe that she was working.
What year was this that you started with the insurance?
Let's see, that would be in 2000.
And it was Huggins.
Huggins, right?
Okay, 2000. Okay.
2000. So I was there for 25 years.
Okay.
Got the first COVID shot. Had a stroke 3 hours later.
Oh gosh.
Left Huggins. Went to work for Hagen Hamilton, which is.
That's where I got Hamilton from.
Yeah.
I said your name wrong
in a prior life, right?
Yeah. You got this shot. You had this reaction.
Right.
You went into work afterwards.
Went into work for a little while,
Okay.
and I had always had a relationship with the guys at Hagen Hamilton. They were first people I interviewed with out of before Old Man Huggins hired me, and I thought, I don't want to work in McMinnville. At the time, I was like, it's so far away from Salem. It's really not, and I've always watched them from afar and just admired their operation. They think about things at a high level, and they are builders and planners, and fits my milieu. So since I've started, we've opened up offices in a couple other locations. We're up to 8 now. Love Oregon. I just got a thing for this whole state, and we have got 8 locations all around Oregon. I've never been to St. Helens, Oregon. Before I joined Hagen Hamilton, we have an office in St. Helens.
So I would just say I fell in love with Oregon. I'm not from here, but I fell in love with it, and I would love to know why you did. The reasons I did it initially was soccer, because at least in Portland they love soccer, right? It's just like and coming from Colorado and being in Utah, where it was like football and basketball were the primary sports. It was like the sport is loved. It was like great, but I also, I would say is almost a close second is how green it is, how many things there are to do outside, coast, Central Oregon, getting down to, then you have the capital here. It's like all those things. What do you love about Oregon?
Well, I'm the South Sister. If you've never climbed the South Sister, it's actually not a bad hike. The South Sister, Table Rock out in Molalla is another great hike where you can get up and you can see forever, and there's just a ton of beauty here, and the summers are great. I lived in Minnesota for 1 year. I don't know, I can't figure out why anyone lives in Minnesota.
I got some friends there now. I heard the mosquitoes are really nasty.
I was in the outfield in a baseball game, and I remember looking up and I yelled at our right fielder. I said, "Hey, there's a cloud coming towards us." He goes, "That's not a cloud, skeeters."
Yeah.
Oh no!
And it was this just thick layer of mosquitoes moving in, and it was summertime. It's 90 degrees with 80% humidity, and it's like, you can't go outside? And then, of course, in the wintertime, I went 6 months without completing a thought, because you walk outside. Okay, as soon as I get to school, it gets cold, and you just can't complete a thought in the wintertime.
Yeah.
And so, I'm like, why does anybody live here?
Right.
And they would, people in Minnesota would make fun of me for being from Oregon. I was like, guys, it's fine. whatever you do, do not come to Oregon. We have some friends who are from Spain, and they went around Oregon, and they're like, this is ridiculous. You guys are spoiled rotten here. The coast with all your seafood, and then you got all the wine and your beer, and your cheese. And like, yeah, I mean, people don't know.
Yeah, they don't know. They don't know about hazelnuts. They don't know about our blueberries.
Right.
Agriculture. Like, we got a lot of awesome things happening, and it's temperate too. Yeah. I love so many things about Oregon. So I want to talk about Salem. Like, what makes you love, like, living here in Salem?
Again, I think it's just its untapped potential. I'll move from Salem when we hit our stride. But until then, I'm going to keep working to make Salem as good as it could possibly be. So when I was growing up here, I was just telling somebody today, there was a store in downtown Salem called Captain Albert Good Things. I mean, if there's a better name
Say
for a
that
store,
again.
Captain Albert Good Things.
Captain Albert Good Things.
Yeah, I don't even know if there was an Albert or if he was a captain or what, but
there was good things in there.
there were great things in there. I mean, when you walked in, it was down by where the YMCA is. It was located where Marion County Courthouse is. The beanery was attached to it. So you had this coffee shop, and if I was good, which was like not very often.
If you weren't shooting down planes.
If I wasn't shooting down planes with bottle rockets,
Yeah.
yeah. My mom would stop in there and I'd get a cookie. And you'd walk in, and I remember there were plants growing out of the walls. The building was so old and rickety that they like hollowed out a part in a beam, put some soil in there, and there was a plant growing out of it. And I was like, boy, that's just... But it was good stuff in there. I mean, when you walked in, it smelled like tea and coffee, and it looked like something out of a Harry Potter movie. And when jelly beans first became a thing, they had a giant jar of jelly beans in there. And the person behind there would always give me a little baggie of jelly beans. And so I was like, it was magical.
Yep.
And I want Salem to be magical again.
So the 80s were magical in your Salem life.
Salem, there used to be a sign at the Salem airfield that said, City of Salem, All-American City. Right on. My city, All-American. Let's get back there. And so you look around, and it's like we could be doing, there's so many cool things, and what drives me crazy is people now are like, have you heard of this place called Clink? Have you been there? It's amazing. It's been open for months. I'm talking about in the future,
Right.
But I'm like, how do you not? I don't go downtown Salem. Why not? It's not clean. It's not safe. Okay, that's the perception. So I'm going to do everything I can to change the perception of, if people think it's not clean, it's not safe. That's the reason why they're not coming down here. It can be magical.
And I'm looking at like all the, community involvement you've had in your career so far. Salem,
I got to get alive.
Salem Main Street Association, president of the board, currently president of the board. Is that right?
Currently.
Salem Area Chamber of Commerce. You're a long-time board member and president. Salem City Council, and you're participated in Salem Planning Commission. Like, that's a lot of involvement. Where did you start with that involvement, and why?
Joined the Chamber of Commerce because that's what I was told to do, go meet people. So I went in, and Mike McLaren was the executive director of the chamber at the time, and Mike said, I said, hey, I want to do more. Where can I go get plugged in? He goes, okay. We need somebody to be on the steering committee for the Friends of the Salem Senior Center. And I was like, no. I'm TJ Sullivan. Senior Center is not my gig. He's, no. We need somebody to go be on the steering committee for the Friends of the Salem Senior Center. Okay. I will take my talents to the Senior Center. So I go in there, and their first meeting, they're like, okay, well, how do we fund the Senior Center? And they start talking about tax dollars. I said, guys, Senior Center needs to stand on its own. If we're gonna, it's just no free ride. They're like, we need to raise the money to fund the Senior Center. I said, okay, you're now in charge of raising the money. No. TJ Sullivan. Nobody cared. So I became the president of the Friends of the Salem Senior Center.
Okay.
We were there for a little while, and we were in just a dump of a building over on off of Capitol. And so the more I was there, I was like, okay, well, that's not the highest and best use.
Mm-hmm.
So Terry Frohnmeyer, who was a commercial realtor in town, and who I lovingly call a little ball of hate, because she's just as ornery as they come. And she came to me one day and she said, "Hey, what do you think about Salem Clinic buying the senior center building?" And I said, "It's a great idea. Let me think about this for a second." So I went back to the city and I said, "Hey, we may have a buyer for the building." And they're like, No. We could never move the seniors out of that building and move them into something new." I was like, I don't understand. Like that's a bureaucrat's way of looking at things, because why would you not want to move into something that was brand new? Mm-hmm. So I talked to Terry about it, and Terry said, "Well, let me go talk to Larry Tokarski." So where the senior center is right now was this old Harbor Freight building, completely underutilized. And Larry kind of put together a plan, a concept with Dave Glennie to do a senior center with housing around it and a little commercial space. So we sold this. Salem Clinic bought the senior center building off Capitol. We moved them to their new building, which none of the seniors bitched about at all. They loved the fact that people cared about them enough to build them a new building. And what was great about it is this when the Nintendo Wii first came out. And I remember they were like women, like digitally boxing in there, like two octogenarians just going at it.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a great thing for Salem, right?
Yeah.
We revitalized an area. And if you go down Portland Road now, it's actually one of the nicer spots on Portland Road. And it's helping, like all parts of Salem, we got to find the highest and best use for it. Revitalize. That's why I love what's happening in downtown with Meyer and Frank, J.C. Penney, Liberty Plaza, local owners making investment. Now we as a citizenry need to match their effort, and we need to be intentional about shopping with, the people who are making this investment here. And that's part of what I'm focused on right now is how do we do stuff to bring people into downtown Salem? How do we remove the barriers? What, you don't think it's clean, you don't think it's safe? Okay, fine, we're going to work on making it clean. We're going to stretch the city to make sure that they're making it safe. I know Chief Womack is committed to it. So how do I take my talents and put them behind removing the barriers to get the patrons down here so that the people who have invested in making things awesome. I mean, Liberty Plaza is magical. When you walk through there, Clink, the whole space there is magical. It's transcendent. But we can't let it just be 6 months of something new and then people are like, it's old hat. I'm not going down there anymore. No, you are.
Yeah.
You have a responsibility to shop. I missed the last time I was supposed to be on because I was in Cannon Beach.
I wasn't going to bring that up,
no,
TJ.
I'm going to bring it up because, listen, if you're going to go on vacation, don't leave Oregon. Keep your money here.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Yeah. Like we go to Cannon Beach. We've been going there since my kids were little. It's a rhythm of our summer. And now that my daughter is heading out to college, right? Mm-hmm. The rhythm was I can't leave until we go to Cannon Beach. I'm like, sweetheart, you can't leave ever. Mm. I mean, she's going to leave, and that's not going to be pretty, but.
So you talk about the Forge, right? Formerly Liberty Plaza, and there is 43 tenant spaces. There's 21 new businesses signed up, and we're filling pretty regularly. And this show called Heavy Lifts, like what's a heavy lift? Well, a heavy lift when you're trying to change a community, right? Perception, make it cool again, make it inviting again, but most importantly, like bring people out. And there's this kind of chicken and egg game you play on. How do you convince the building owners, the business owners, to make something cool enough for people to come out, and then how do you convince the people that, let's call it, it's safe again, or that there are reasons again? And so we're all on different ends of this spectrum. Nat and his involvement in J.C. Penney, I look at this as a heart of Salem. I look at this as these sky bridges as ventricles of that heart, and I look at the last downturn, which is really 9-10, is when the disease set in. And the disease didn't start with uncleanliness. It started with business, let's call it failure. But in the end, it was economic conditions that created this, right, issue. And then what happened was New York, owned the Salem Center, right? And that was sold. And then Canada, an owner from Canada, owned Liberty Plaza, and so they were outside the country. And then you had, an Oregon group, but a group from Lake Oswego that bought J.C. Penney at the time, and he's like, you know what, I bought this so right. The right thing from an investor standpoint is just let's see what the other two do, and then I'll, try to figure something out. And what we now have this year is we have active momentum on all of the pieces with local owners, with people walking it daily, with people doing the hard work. People like myself and Nat that are out here at night, sometimes dressed in our 90s party attire like we were last week, but with a smile and some humor, because when it's 1 a.m. and you're dealing with stuff that no one likes dealing with, humor's what you got on your side, right? And, the question is just how do we get collective energy? And sometimes what it takes from the community, we say shop, right? But shopping isn't everything. And so what we're trying to do is figure out what's the business plan. Like, how do we get an experience that maybe what you're shopping for is maybe there's live entertainment and it's $10 to come see this band and you have 2 beers, and it's something that is a little bit more approachable and affordable, right? I know Lloyd Center's got some stuff up north that we're tracking pretty heavy, and what we're realizing is the best way to collect people, TJ, is to throw a party. So how do we throw regular parties in Salem to show people that we can have fun together? I think that's what Nat and I are working on, and I know you are on the front line of how do we change the perception of this being a clean area? And I think it all just plays together, because in the end, you can understand if you try to take a compassionate approach that, especially when it's raining, if there's cover, well, we want someone to be able to get under cover, right? And if the building is closed and clearly not going to be going for a year, who's it harming? But who it's harming is every single person that saw this as the central collection bin, and that saw this as the place to have community, to gather, to share memories, to create memories. And I think that's what we're excited about, is we're on that business front line. We are willing to put in daily doubles, right? As long as it takes to help with this energy. But you're absolutely right. What we need most from the community is to respond. And sometimes that starts, and I was very excited when Nat was on, you had this little bit on Fox 12 about a month ago, and it started with the community at least responding via social media, at least responding via emails on, hey, have you thought of this? My daughter's been working with this group. They thought about this. And so right now, you don't even have to spend money to give energy. You just have to have focused effort. And a question I have for you on this heavy lift: how do we get more community engagement in an ugly issue without avoiding it? How do we get more community engagement in maybe the positives? Maybe it's not the ugly side. Maybe we're focused on the wrong side of this issue. But how does a group like ours on the business front collectively get with you for this think tank? And how do we get the community as a part of that discussion? Because in the political realm, it takes so much energy to get it there, and then everyone wants to come out once it's there. How do we get people involved earlier in this discussion?
Yeah, I think there's the great American philosopher Snoop Dogg once said, there ain't nothing to it but to do it. And I think sometimes, especially in Salem, we're like, hey, we got to dig a hole. Can we get a white paper on digging a hole? We can't dig the hole until we get the white paper. We need somebody to analyze the shovel. What's the perfect size hole to dig? What do we do with the dirt? And we overthink things. Get paralysis by analysis, and sometimes on the business side, on the volunteer side, you just got to leap in and do it, and and people will notice in Salem. They'll know, they'll be like, oh, what's going on over there? So we started putting up Christmas lights in downtown Salem, just because Christmas is a magical time, And if you want young people to think about Salem in a magical way, put up Christmas lights. The kids see that as being magical.
Yep.
So we started putting up Christmas lights. And we started with just a volunteer, group, and it's, November, October, November, early December, where we're putting up Christmas lights. All of a sudden, people in Salem were like, how do we get involved? We want to come down and help you put up Christmas lights. You didn't put up Christmas lights in your own house. Why would we want to join you? So it's a Saturday this last 2 years ago, and it's just piss and rain outside. It's 8 a.m., 45 degrees, piss and rain, and here comes this group of high school students, and I'm like, what are you guys doing here? We're here to put up Christmas lights. Like, I'm the idiot for asking them, right? They walk into a room where all the volunteers are gathered, and I was like, okay, well, whatever. I'll go with you guys, and we'll throw them up together. So we were out there putting up lights, and, I'm doing my thing, making jokes and laughing, and, it's not really, it's not a funny time because it's piss and rain and 45 degrees out. So we finish after 3 hours of work, and I'm like, I'm never going to see them again. Next week, same group comes in, only they've all brought friends.
No way.
Now we're doubled. Now we're up to our crew putting up Christmas lights was like 50 people out here. we got the Christmas lights early, and I had a group of kids from South Salem High School who showed up to help put up lights, and they had a great time. And now, we started, people saw it, people recognized it, and they like, I want to help. And we found you won't always get the right people. Sometimes you get average people and you just make them right.
Good example of showing up, but I think if I mechanically look through this, there was an opportunity to show up. And so thank you for providing that opportunity, regardless of the weather.
Open the door.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I think maybe that's a good takeaway on this heavy lift is there are people that want to get involved. They just don't know where. They don't know how. So how do we now collectively give them a reason to know where or how? And my gut says with technology the way it is, this community can have more like volunteer-oriented tasks that make this community better. Mm-hmm. I saw a communication recently from Church in the Park, right, looking for opportunities for certain individuals to do cleaning in this downtown area. And it's really just a team captain. And you know this from your playing days, like who is going to help come up with a plan and then keep the morale when you're in the trenches and keep the energy. And the tough part is that a true leader is there on the front end and the back end and does the heavy lifting on every side. And how do we open up a door to figure out how to get people more involved, how to reach out and just explain how to what opportunities exist outside of Christmas lights, like what
people want to be asked. People in this community are dying to be. We're so afraid to ask somebody to help. Mm-hmm. They want you to ask them. Mm-hmm. They want to be involved. I'm not alone in caring about Salem. Mm-hmm. There's a whole bunch of people that are out there that just want to be asked. And it's figuring out, okay, where do if I put it out on social media and I don't get a response, then that's not the right medium. Maybe it's hanging a sign in a coffee shop. I don't know.
One of the issues with social media is it's created a bunch of silos. Right? Everyone's got a message, and there's so much noise that it's hard to know when and how. And I think you sit in a unique leadership position where your downtown-specific organizational component may have something that others could push within, so it's not just a silo.
Yeah.
But I do think with what JCPenney's has going, with what the Forge has going, with the new mall center, or Salem Center ownership, there is opportunities to weave people in, and we just need to find a way to start doing what they did back in the day, meeting for coffee on Friday mornings, discussing our plan, and then just doing it.
Yeah.
Right? Just going all Snoop Dogg on this stuff and just do it. And I think you got friends here. You got friends that are new to the downtown heavy lift. We got to make sure that people aren't getting tired along the way and dropping off as new people are coming in. But I am curious. Now I'm going to take a shift with a specific question.
Okay.
We got this new parking item which has highs and lows. I personally have been okay with it. It's actually allowed for those that have needs to, let's call it, get taxed with this parking item.
Yeah.
And my biggest question on whether I'm okay with parking or not is this money going to be used to do what it should be, which is clean up downtown?
Right.
And I think if this money is used appropriately, we're all excited about the parking tax, the parking meter, the parking,
Yeah.
right? And actually, Salem BP is very friendly, right? And
Right.
every time I'm there and I spend that $4.25 or $6 or $3.30, I think to myself, you know what? If this leads to the Salem's future that I want, right? Then I'm in, and I'm happy to support it. And I know there's a lot of other people alongside of me that are. So, how are we going to help now be a part of that conversation of the city not creating a white paper for the next 18 months and sitting on this money, for the city not allocating it in areas that are not. This should be a special allocation, and this should move into very specific downtown streets right now to make an impact from a morale standpoint, to make an impact. And you know how budgets work. You've been in council. How do we do this well? If you had to say something to the city right now, what's your message on how to do that well?
I cast the vision. I showed up at the city council meeting, cast the vision, say, guys, we need to fund a cleaning in downtown. Here's the proposal, right? Mm-hmm. We'll have our crews out, not blowing debris everywhere, vacuuming it up. Mm-hmm. Then we'll be out here with pressure washers, hooded pressure washers, paying attention to historic buildings and vaults in the ground and pressure washing around them. But we will be cleaning downtown so that the perception is that it's clean. And we'll do the beautification piece. We'll be hanging flower baskets. We'll be weeding the tree wills and bringing in fresh bark so that when Iron Man shows up, the feedback is, wow, your downtown is clean. Not, I got a picture on my phone of overflowing trash bins. And I was like, okay, well, now we know that's an issue. So now we're already making plans as Main Street for next year. Mm-hmm. How do we get the private sector answers to keeping this place clean? How do we come alongside the businesses and create amazing alleyways so that people want to come downtown and see your alleys?
Well, I'm just doing the mental math, right? Let's take a commerce district where walking is. Let's take a trial. This doesn't have to be long-term commitments, but of course everything does set a precedence, right? But let's say, and I know that these parking tax numbers are way more than they thought were going to be coming in.
Yeah.
Let's call it $100,000 a month or $250,000 a month. I don't know what's going to be coming in. Do you know? Do you have any idea?
I do. I mean, the first day at Beep Beep Salem.
Yep.
First few days we were averaging 7,000 a day.
So let's back that out at 5,000 a day overtime, right? And that could go up, right? But at 5,000 a day overtime, that's $150,000 a month. And let's just say we split it. Half of it goes to where we know the bureaucratic pie is going to need to put it, but the other half goes to trials, goes to just testers into these 6-month items, and we get to just see what and how. But I know that when I've traveled to Disneyland and you wake up in the morning, the streets are cleaned. I know when I'm in Europe and you wake up in the morning, there's people cleaning the streets. And what's interesting
Taylor Swift was coming to town, the streets would be clean.
Well, what's interesting is that what takes, this is a whole nother conversation. Nat would give me crap here if I allowed it, but I hear if you go to the gym for 6 to 8 weeks in a row, it becomes a trend. I've not made it that long.
Set habits?
Yeah, it's setting in habits. But my thought is, you know what? If we just gave the business owners a 2-month reprieve, if we just started spending the money August 1st, today, and we just took that $5,000 a day and said, let's spend $3,000 a day. Let's put $2,000 in the coffer and start spending $3,000 a day, and let's have vacuums, let's have garbage get removed, let's have cleaning. You know what? Flower baskets can wait. We can grow into flower baskets. I would like it.
Yeah.
But what if literally between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. in the morning, 7 a.m., before the business owners come in, they don't have to spend the first hour of their day cleaning up something outside of their business. We don't have to say what that something is because it could be anything. But yes,
we know.
What if we could give the reprieve, but then also set a tone And that tone is not just for the segment of the community that might be coming through or the business owners that might be showing up. The tone's also for the patron. So how can we at least commit to 8 weeks of just setting a tone?
Can I before you answer that? And I love the question. Coming from outside of Salem, I'm wondering, like, why has this been discussed before? Like, can you catch us up to speed on like where we're at with this process? Because we're at a point now, as business owners, as stakeholders in downtown, where we're like, we want to be involved, we want to do something. What has been done, and what were the major barriers for why it hasn't been done?
I think, we haven't ever had some of the causes of the unclean in downtown. That's a relatively new thing.
Okay.
As we have made decisions federally at the state level about how we're going to deal with mentally ill, but also we have replaced common sense for what we call compassion. And one of the things I'm struck by is as they talk about, well, you can't, it's not compassionate to tell people to move where they're sleeping. You need to have some more understanding, okay? I'm struck by the fact that when Surf Pro went out to clean under the Market Street underpass, they found 5 human bodies. That's not compassion. You can't let people kill themselves slowly outside. That's not compassion. And yet with downtown Salem, when it comes to people, living on the streets, our unsheltered neighbors, they think, well, if you don't bother them, that's being compassionate. It's not. If you help them get, into a healthier position, right now, people who are mentally ill are being taken advantage of on the streets. They are being put to work by bad human beings who have instructed them, you're here to do one of 3 things: break into cars and steal everything you can, sell drugs, sell your body. Those are the 3 things that we need you to do if you want to be downtown and make money. We'll give you drugs to ease the pain of your mental illness or to feed your addiction. That's not compassion to let them do that. When I was on council, we were a little more uncompassionate. We set up we were having a problem with prostitution in 2002 to 2008 in downtown Salem. We created a prostitution-free zone, and we were pushing prostitutes out of downtown Salem. And, people would scream about it, like, it's not fair. Well, it's not right for downtown Salem either. So they probably went elsewhere, yes. But they weren't in the heart of our downtown. And that's what we have to do. We have to take a position. We have to institute a no-sit-lie ordinance. We have to move people out of downtown Salem who are, looking to either, do bad things in downtown Salem. You can't be here. You can't sleep here. I'm sorry. We have a brand new Union Gospel Mission. You're welcome to sleep there. It does mean that, yes, you are going to have to be sober. I'm sorry. We're not going to allow you to kill yourself slowly on our streets. And that's where we have to get to. We have to get back to taking a tough love position. I have 2 kids. You have 2 kids. Lots of love, lots of discipline in our house. When I discipline my kids, they know it's because I care about them. Right? That doesn't change when people get older. So we got to start by that, and then, like you said, let's just start cleaning. Let's not form the white paper. Let's just start cleaning, see the results. I guarantee you, it would be
Let's try for 8 weeks. If we don't
change,
see a benefit, then stop it and adjust course. And I do think that sometimes we try to solve things too big. Sometimes we try to solve Salem. And I think one of the things we could do, and maybe like your prostitute-free zone that was created, a family and commerce zone. If there was an area that had, much like McMinnville has a no-sit-lie ordinance, right? But if there was an area, and sure, maybe there was some bike patrol and there's some funding of the police through this parking tax. Sure, maybe there's some other significant oversight that happens administratively. But I think part of it starts with and I don't want to call it turf battle because that's not what its intent is, but to if you're going to try something, trying it here is a lot harder than let's try it here and see if it works. Let's reduce the size of our risk and our investment, but let's take from High Street to the riverfront, right? From the Marion Street Bridge over to what would that be? Front Street. And let's just take a little 20-block zone and have a family and commerce zone, and let's try to listen to the community about what would make this feel safe to family and commerce. And we always talk about like walkability, but one of the toughest parts about walkability is, it's deep rooted within our planning process, right? In 100 years, that walkability is what we want. Safety is a big piece of that that's being ignored right now. And
100%.
Now I would argue, I've been here every single day for the last 3 months. Although there's been some things I see out there, it's not what I saw 2 years ago. I would argue that even just shifting people into the parking garage, like what's happening is when people show up, the bad stuff kind of moves out.
Yeah.
The bad stuff only shows up when people are absent.
When it's dark, when it's dark and there's no people.
Yeah. To me, it's like, well, great. Then how do we get people here until midnight every night, and how do we get them coming back for coffee at 6 a.m.? That's how the bigger cities keep the stuff at bay, is they have good traffic, right? And the problem is it's hard to defend your turf when there's no traffic. So how do we encourage good traffic? How do we encourage good boundaries and good rules? Good compassionate discipline with an understanding that compassionate's not the moment, compassion is what you're doing for the life.
Yeah.
Right? And I like your parent analogy. If you're giving discipline to your child because of the one moment versus to make him or her a better human being later in life, right? Those are often two different positions.
Right.
So how do we take a more longer term position on compassion? How do we take a longer term position on downtown?
Yeah, it starts in the moment. Like, what do we need to do right now? What do we need to fix? And in the city, the Beep Beep Salem, I told them, you guys are going to make all the money in the world on this. I don't think they believed it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing is like, okay, now that we are having some success with this, the way we keep that success going is by keeping people coming into downtown and paying to park.
Mm-hmm.
So if we know from taking polls that people don't come downtown because they don't think it's safe, they don't think it's clean, those are perceptions. We can fix those perceptions by showing people, here's what we're doing. People will feel safer if they see a clean person cleaning.
Cleaning every single day.
Yeah.
For 6 to 8 weeks, I think is brilliant. I think there's no question that at $5,000 a day, $7,000 a day, $3,000 a day,
Yeah.
A crew could be hired that does that, and a crew could be hired not when there's a bunch of people walking up and down. I think of a golf course, right?
Right.
The mower is like waiting for me to hit all the time, and I'm like, man, do you mow like 30% of the time?
Yeah.
But that 4 a.m. to 7 a.m., 4 a.m. to 8 a.m., you can walk up and down, and if you're cleaning it every day, you're not deep cleaning.
Right.
You're sucking up garbage. I think a small crew, I don't think you need an army. I think a couple small crews could make a big dent and a big impact. And yeah, I now want to know, how do we get this to the leadership? I think we have good leadership at the city of Salem, or at least those that are trying. I know that their ambitions are good. And I'm just trying to figure out, how do we communicate to them some of the urgency to cut through the bureaucratic process, to cut through some of the white paper process, and to say, hey, we didn't plan on this much revenue.
Yeah.
Could we do a 1 month, not a 1 year contract? Could we do a 2 month, not a multi-year, go out for bid, and 6 months we'll finally have a service provider?
How about from August through January?
And can we give it to the Salem Downtown Association for them to hire the contract to speed this up? Like, well, how do we navigate the system so that
City
we're not...
Council at cityofsalem.net. Send it to that. So we have a strong city manager run city.
Mm-hmm.
Our city manager's name is Krishna Number, and she is great.
Awesome.
She's been with the city for a long time. She's super smart. She's very savvy. But she also has 9 bosses on city council.
Mm-hmm.
So she'll see the emails if you send them to city council. So send an email to city council at cityofsalem.net and just say, we need to fund cleaning in downtown Salem. And just what you said, run it through the Main Street Association. We are ready to go. As a private body, I wake up every morning and my first thought is, I got to get some coffee. My second thought is, what do we do to make downtown awesome? And I think about cleaning and how do we clean in a way that makes a difference, and what's the area that we go. And I actually started with a smaller, like commercial to state to high to Chemeketa.
Yep.
We just clean everything inside there. That touches a lot of empty storefronts, and it makes a difference on.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of businesses who would participate in that and would get behind that. I know the ownership groups here would get behind an idea like that.
Well, and how do you? I mean, it's the statement. Like, I was talking to Cecilia Ritter from Ritter's Wild Pear.
Yep.
She shows up for work, and there is human waste all in their front entryway. Well, you can't walk into a restaurant and enjoy your meal if you walk through that.
Yeah,
so
it's gotta get cleaned.
she sent somebody out to clean it, and the person who made the mess took umbrage with the fact that they were cleaning up their mess and threatened to kill the person who was doing the cleaning.
Oh, geez.
So that guy was like, well, my day is done. I'm going home.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So now Cecilia is down somebody, plus she still has the mess.
Sure.
So then, she has to go there. Well, that's telling Cecilia, as a city, we don't care about you. That kills me.
Yeah.
Cecilia Ritter has been nothing short of amazing for our downtown.
Yeah.
We should be providing that service to every business owner in downtown. These are people who have leveraged their entire future for downtown. We can't let them fail. We have to. The way we say you matter is by hiring somebody to get out there and clean their entryway for them.
And the energy is now.
Yeah.
I think the time is now. I think if you were
100%.
pushing this 3 or 4 years ago, that the energy was less.
Right.
So
Okay.
I'm on board.
Yeah, same. And I think
All right.
we all want to see, more things happening down here, and to get the good traffic, to get people to come out, we need to change perceptions, and we need to, if making it cleaner and lighting it up,
Yeah.
are two things we can do to change things, why don't we do it? So, TJ Sullivan, not Hamilton, thank
Right.
you so much for being on the show
you.
and for
Not
chatting
Washington.
with us. And I really enjoyed having you, and appreciate you're one of those guys who's just inspiring in terms of your commitment to Salem. So thank you.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys doing this, having me on, and look forward to building something with you guys in the future.